You know, Steve, that scene where Emilio was slitting his wrist.
Yeah.
That reminds me, we should check in on our agent because, we're his only clients, and I hear that he's been really down in the dumps lately. So
yeah, but I don't know about that because I just got a text from him, and he sent me a photo. And
oh, maybe some new work?
The Rees Company.
by the way, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm.
The Rees Company.
Open and tepid Genesee. Watch the pictures as they travel through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Brianti. How are you, Chris?
I'm good.
We have a message from a viewer.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to shorten this a bit, but here are the pertinent details. Dear Rees Company. Why, that's us.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting you react to the 1982 TV movie In the Custody of Strangers, which stars Martin Sheen and his son Emilio Estevez. Please keep me anonymous for this suggestion. I just discovered you. Have a nice weekend, and Happy New Year, gentlemen. Well, Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you for taking the time to write, and Chris, I think we have our movie of the week of the week. Chris?
You know, Steve, I got to say that letter was a lot nicer than the last time we heard from some viewers where they said that I look, quote unquote, R-worded. So thanks for keeping it nice.
I don't think it was look. I don't think it was your appearance. I think
they said I seem to be
yes
R-worded.
Yes.
Well, fair enough.
So, In the Custody of Strangers aired on May 6th, 1982 on ABC. Directed by Robert Greenwald. And 2 years prior, Robert had directed the legendary Olivia Newton-John box office bomb Xanadu. So, as our correspondent noted, it stars real-life father and son Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. It's Emilio's debut role. And true to life, here they also portray father and son. Martin is a father. He has 3 kids, and he's currently jobless. He worked at a local factory that has recently closed its doors. He did have a job opportunity, but that fell through. He's very desperate, so he heads to the unemployment office to meet with Seinfeld's mother. Emilio tags along. Now, take note of Martin's disdain for cannery work.
Well, it's a shame about the Yorktown job, but it is a long drive, Mr. Caldwell. There may be some cannery work around. I know that doesn't interest you. But your extended benefits period only has 1 week to go.
What's that mean?
26 weeks maximum benefits, 13 weeks extended benefits. Taking into consideration the odd work days you've got, last week was the 39th week.
Pause it, please.
One more check.
But I have an interview with Vandalay Industries. They want me to be their latex salesman. Is that your daughter?
What happens then?
Well, you should start your welfare application right away. It's taking longer to go through now. I guess they're swamped. Now, about the cannery job.
Welfare.
Welfare.
Yeah.
He's not even going to dignify that cockamamie cannery suggestion.
Well, I think it was the welfare that he was objecting to, but possibly the cannery job as well.
I believe so. Look, I may be desperate, Alf's neighbor, but I'm also a man of conviction, and I believe firmly that soup should come in bags. So that night, Amelia and some friends, they knock back some liquor and head to a record store where there's a blink and you miss it inside joke.
Oh.
Hope you enjoy that.
By the way, the director definitely didn't ask for that shot. That was the cameraman during a break in filming that he... Never mind. Go ahead.
All right. Well, you hear what the clerk says.
I missed it.
I hope you enjoy that incredulously as he bags up the soundtrack from Xanadu for the customer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, back when there used to be record shops, you sometimes you go in there and ask like, "Hey, what's new? What would you recommend?" And they were very condescending at times. If you would be like, "Well, what do you listen to?" and you tell them, they're like, "Oh, jeez, I don't think I can help you."
So Emilio and his chums, let's see what they get up to at the record shop.
Right. You have the phone? Yeah, New York Records. 12, right? Yeah. Come on. Yeah, here it is. 139. Stuff good? Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I think I'll take this. Stuff is good. Hey, real good. Hey, come back here! Don't leave your straw, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's bang out of order.
Yeah.
Very unswinging.
Very unswinging.
One of Emilio's accomplices is played by his real-life brother, Ramon Estevez.
One time my parents bought me as a Christmas gift a gift certificate for a record store. Like one of the local ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for a lot too. Like I could have bought 7 or 8 albums with this. So I'm very excited. I go in there. I spend a long time picking out what I want to get. Take it up to the counter. She checks all the stuff out. You know how they used to take whatever the anti-theft tabs, they had to take them out of there, and then she rings me up, and I proudly hand over my gift certificate to find out that it is not for that record store. Oh. It was for a similarly named record store like a block away. Now, Steve, here's where the story gets bad. That girl who checked me out, she sat right behind me in homeroom. Yeah, I'm still embarrassed by that to this day.
Do you think she still thinks about that?
I wish I had more poise at the time, that I could have just been there Monday morning, been like, geez, what an idiot I am. I could have smoothed it over. Right. But you know what I did? I said nothing about it ever again.
Oh, man. So it turns out, Emilio, he's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And now he's caused a headache that his overstressed father just doesn't need.
Steve, maybe I should just apologize right now. I'm sorry, Lori Monahan.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
For that
Smooths over for good.
That 1992 incident.
Stealing a radio. You're a thief. And you're going to take it back first thing in the morning. And don't say it wasn't you. You was seen. Frank Caldwell's boy seen stealing a radio. You're headed for big trouble, Danny boy, and I want to tell you something. Don't come running to me for help, because you won't find it here.
So what else is new?
You think you got problems because I had to take your record player back. Let me tell you something, son. You don't know what problems are. Go on out in the real world and own your own way, because I've had it with you. All right, I will. I'll get a job.
Yeah, there was a technical issue with the rest of that scene, but we wanted you to see it, so we recreated it for you, and we'll pick up right where we left off in the argument between Martin and Emilio.
I'll get a job at the cannery.
Don't you dare say that word in this house.
But they're begging for workers. They're offering a $500 sign-on bonus.
I don't care.
If you're there for 6 months, they'll pay for medical for the whole family.
Big deal.
And if you take management courses at the junior college, they'll reimburse you.
I don't care if they guarantee that all of your sons will always have an adequate number of T cells. No boy of mine is going to work at the cannery.
Oh, here we go again.
Soup should be bagged in transparent plastic so you can see what's actually inside, not what Big Ken wants you to think.
Give it up, Dad. You've been on this trip since the clam chowder controversy of '76.
It said New England. It said New England. It was Manhattan.
But that lawsuit cost us everything. Meanwhile, the VA was already denying your benefit claims, for a clerical mistake that they made.
Soup! Emilio leaves to get drunk at a friend's house. And when they run out of beer, Emilio takes to the roads, and this occurs.
What? Get on the bike, officer. Whoa. What's the problem?
Yeah. So Emilio gets arrested.
I would imagine so.
And Martin gets a call asking him to come collect his son from the drunk tank. Martin refuses. Let him spend the night in jail. Maybe he'll learn his lesson. That's his logic. Then Emilio meets a fellow detainee.
Hey, how old are you anyway?
Almost 17.
Is that right? Yeah, I would have thought you were older. 19, 20. What's the matter?
I don't know. I guess I pulled something. I'm getting an auto wreck.
Hey, come here. Let me take a look. I got a boy who plays football. He's always pulling a muscle or a tendon or something like that.
What's he play?
He's defensive halfback. How about yourself?
Yeah, I played quarterback. Yeah, right in there. Right in there.
Yeah. I really can't get it proper here. Scoot over a bit here. Yeah. Hey, come on, let me. Come on. What are you doing?
Yeah. So Emilio puts that guy in the hospital with a fractured skull.
That scene reminded me of, it was a couple years after the record store incident. I went to a Baltimore Orioles game, and I had to use the men's room. And, face the camera, Steve. Now you're me in this scenario, right?
All right.
I'm this guy. He's in his 40s or something, So what are you about, 19? That's the kind of entertainment you get at Camden Yards, where the Baltimore Orioles play. Needless to say, I have not been back.
Oh, and that man turned out to be your homeroom teacher.
Yeah.
All right, so Emilio attacks that guy. Well, not attacks, it's in defense. And so now, in addition to a drunk driving charge, he is now looking at assault and battery as well.
Yeah.
So he continues to be held in custody. Expecting to be released, he does. Emilio, his parents, and his probation officer, he acquired one of those as a result of this incident. They attend a hearing together.
The victim of the assault is still in the hospital, so I'd like to request that detention be continued until our investigation of the incident is completed.
Your Honor, this assault was provoked by homosexual advance.
Oh, come on, Corky. They were in separate cells with bars between them. How much of a sexual advance could there have been?
Well, and how much of an assault could there have been?
He put the man in the hospital.
A man, this is a boy.
That's enough. I didn't understand this boy was placed in city lockup.
Your Honor, it was a Saturday night.
The classic Elton John defense. To cite Yellow Brick Road, Side 4, Track 2, Saturday night's all right for fighting. Yeah. Motion to dismiss, Your Honor. Instead, the judge rules that Emilio should remain in custody until he's to be arraigned. Now, because he's a minor, he's held in a private cell away from the general population. Emilio eventually gets to meet with his court-appointed attorney with his mother at his side.
Listen, they shouldn't have put you in the tank in the first place. And whether they do that all the time or not doesn't matter, because we're going to make a lot of points on that.
Well, I still don't get it. If I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, and I hit the guy to get him away from me, how come I got to plead guilty?
Danny, why don't you just let Mr. Barnes finish? Is it okay if I smoke?
Oh, please smoke.
Mom, I want to know why I got to plead guilty, okay?
Listen, there's no problem. I know it's tough to understand. Look, the prosecutor is in a tough spot. But you beat up on a guy when he was in the state's custody.
So what do you think I'll get?
You're a juvenile, you got no priors. Maybe 30 days detention, maybe less.
30 days?
Yeah. So the attorney goes on to explain that given the vagaries of the court system, a not guilty plea could see Emilio spend more time in custody than a guilty one, since he'll likely be held while awaiting trial. So during the arraignment, Emilio goes into business for himself and pleads not guilty, which surprises the attorney. So the court rules that Emilio has to remain behind bars pending a psych evaluation, largely because the PO failed to arrange one.
Yeah, well, look, you don't need to put a guy in a hospital to stop him from kissing you. I mean, all I had to do was run out of the Camden Yards men's room before you finish taking a leak and then explain to your girlfriend why your shorts are all wet. Oh, I spilled Pepsi on it. Sorry, I'm off on a tangent.
No, it's pertinent. It's very pertinent
Is it?
to what I believe so. So to fend off loneliness and isolation, Emilio is given a job in the prison kitchen, where he causes quite a stir when the women arrive to dine.
Hey, let's have a front view. Hey, turn around.
He ain't even supposed to talk to you, Bumps. Caruso's orders. So just lay off him, starting now. Give me a nice laugh.
Yeah, the inmates start to jeer and pelt him with food. I believe that's in disappointment. You see, with his back turned, they thought he might be Sandy Duncan.
Oh.
Martin travels to Akron for a...
I thought that was Barbara Corhan from Shark Tank when you sent that picture, by the way.
Oh, okay.
They look very similar.
Okay. Well, there's a job opportunity for Martin over in Akron. And what that opportunity is, we don't know, but we sure know what it isn't.
Yeah.
This leaves Emilio's mother the sole household parent, and that causes further problems for Emilio. A judge is about to release him into his mother's custody, but changes his mind at the hearing, arguing that Emilio needs both parents at home to help him out, to help keep him out of trouble. So disappointing news for all, including Emilio's little brothers. So take a close look at the younger one. You may recognize him.
Surprise! Where's Danny?
They wouldn't let him come home, Rusty. Not without your father here. They just wouldn't let him.
Is Danny ever coming home? Who cares?
Yeah, that's a very young David Faustino, better known as TV's Bud Bundy from the classic sitcom Married with Children.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting because I was just thinking this whole movie would make a great episode of Married with Children. You know, like Al is in one of his No Ma'am meetings, you know, the National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Mastery. And he has too much to drink, so Bud has to come pick him up. They get pulled over by a cop, and they start arguing over whose fault it is. They get thrown in the drunk tank. But maybe like a fat lady prison they have to go to. I don't know. I think this whole premise could have very easily been a comedy, given the right treatment.
A few changes, a few tweaks.
Yeah.
And it's hilarity.
Yeah.
Well, we know for sure that's David Faustino because he was in the credits. But it looks like there's another young actor who appears in this.
Oh.
Who went on to better things as well. Now, this man appears as Emilio's Kafkaesque nightmare continues. Okay, pause. Can that be anyone but an adult Jack Black?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It's not, of course. He was 13 at the time, but that's a very recognizable face.
Yeah.
Now, I have an explanation for this, Chris.
It's almost Meredith Baxter-esque in how recognizable it is. And if you get that one, you go back with us a ways. That was like 3 years ago. But
I have a theory that I believe this is Jack Black.
Okay.
And I have a theory as to how this is possible.
Time travel?
He has the ability to time travel.
Okay.
He does not have the ability to prioritize. So he goes back in time with good intentions.
Yeah.
To warn the folks against all the terrible events that will befall humanity.
Right.
But when he gets there, he just can't resist the temptation to use it for things like getting to meet Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
And that's how he ended up in this motion picture. So Martin has great news. The factory in Akron has offered him a job. I call it the Facron.
Oh, okay.
But he returns to find Amelia has not only not been released, he's in even more trouble after an incident in the prison cafeteria. Let's see some of this.
Give me some of them eggs.
Hey, watch out what you're doing. Take your face apart, punk.
With all the mounting frustration of morally questionable imprisonment, the bureaucracy keeping him behind bars, and the separation from his family, at least there's a real live human Emilio can make feel his own pain.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Fresh meat, fresh meat, fresh meat. I'm going to make you kiss me on the mouth. I call this one the tush push.
Chris.
Huh?
You all right, man?
I've never been to a puppet prison. What? Oh, I'm sorry, continue.
Well, at least both parents get to spend a little time with their son.
Danny, don't look that way. Darling, we'll be back for you.
Yeah, they don't look like they're going anywhere.
They were giving him the finger in the back out of the window of the car.
Yeah, the family is actually relocating to Akron, and Emilio knows this, but it really hits home in this moment that his parents are no longer going to be nearby.
Sure.
Now, Chris, you may have noticed this is an 80s movie.
Oh. Well, I know what that means.
Oh, what's that?
Well, two things. One, character-defining license vanity plates. Have we seen any of those?
Not just yet, but I'm sure there's one in the offing.
All right. Well, what else would there be?
Well, there'd be a training montage.
Ah, yes.
In the case of a movie like this, though, it seems at first obligatory and forced. But it turns out there's a pretty good, well, not good, not a positive, but an understandable reason for all this. Let's take a look. Oh, boy. Well, that took a turn.
Yeah. So I guess he was working out to get the veins to pop up more. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not how you do it. You go, I mean, come on.
Well, there you go, kids.
There's your public service announcement, folks.
So, ironically, the warden, who has been very human toward Emilio thus far, has just demanded that Emilio be released in any legal way possible, and he was on his way to tell him so.
Oh.
Emilio does survive the attempt. There's a new court hearing where a judge rules he is free to go with time served. Following the decision, Martin has a word with the judge.
And I'd just like to say that there's something wrong here, sir. It's something awfully wrong. Danny was never a bad boy. He never liked the rules. Of course, you've got to have rules for things to run right.
For example, Manhattan clam chowder should be labeled Manhattan clam chowder. Emilio's mother has some words for the judge as well.
And what did he get out of it? Now, Danny was never, well, sometimes he was difficult to handle, but he never hurt anybody until he got in here.
That's right.
And he certainly never tried to hurt himself. I don't know what kind of hell you put our boy through, but I do know one thing. You got no right. You got no right at all.
Yeah. So having both said their pieces, the family heads to Akron where they show Emilio their new digs.
Yeah.
And in a moment of reflection, Emilio stares out at the family from the doorway of his new bedroom.
I got two coming up. Mine are getting burned.
Yeah, this is Mama's. It's sticky. There you go, honey. What up? Say, ah.
Good.
Is this one for Danny?
Did you make that going? Good.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody has bedroom doors like that, first of all.
Right.
Right. Nobody has glass bedroom doors. And they could have given him any other bedroom. I think they were kind of messing with him there.
But let me ask you this. Could it be perception? Is that what he's seeing?
I mean, I guess.
Because that last shot is meant to suggest that the psychological damage he suffered while he was being interred, not interred, what do you call it? Imprisoned. It's
incarcerated. Is
incarcerated, yeah. It's showing itself in every facet of life. So
Sure.
he sees those doors as prison doors.
Okay, so I'm taking it too literally then. He just had a normal bedroom door.
Yeah, probably.
Gotcha.
And that's something we're meant to think. I believe that this film was made to plant that thought in our heads. If the bureaucratic justice system took an okay kid with a few issues and instead of helping him, scarred him for life, what would happen?
I mean, this was based on a true story.
That's what it says, but I was unable to find any kind of documentation of what this was based on.
Yeah. A lot of them are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I suppose it does happen.
I suppose it can happen.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm sure it has. But, I mean, we saw him commit how many crimes? So, 16 or not, he needed some kind of intervention to help straighten out his path, as they said. It's a shame that it went awry, I guess. I'm not really sure what they're trying to say with this movie, to be honest.
Well, they're trying to say that everything that happened to him in prison led to him earning more prison time.
Right.
So in keeping him locked up, they were doing more damage to him than they would if they had actually helped him through counseling.
Sure. But maybe it worked. I mean, we'd have to check back in on him when he was like 30.
I think this film tries to tell us it did not, that the system created a hardened criminal.
But we don't know
through
that.
wrongful imprisonment.
I mean, they never made a sequel, so we don't see him. We don't know the aftermath of all this. But
anything else you'd like to say about this, or anything before we rate it?
Well, no, but you go ahead and rate it.
Okay, I'm going with 4 out of 5 Meredith Baxters.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, but mainly for the acting and the linear storytelling. It's a series of events that befall a single character. And the only time we're taking out of his claustrophobic world are the times when we see his family, who, yes, they do have their freedom, but they're just as trapped in the same system as they try to bring their son home.
Now, was this a TV movie or a theatrical release?
It was a made-for-TV motion picture, yeah.
So I would guess... So what do you think? Do you think Martin Sheen wanted to jumpstart Emilio's career, and that's why he agreed to do this? Or do you think he felt passionately about the subject, or both? I don't know.
I think he felt passionately about the subject. I'm not sure that influenced the casting.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think those things are
because he was already in Apocalypse Now at this point.
Yeah.
He was a household name.
Yes,
not the type of person who would be doing a TV movie. But I mean, I agree with you. It's well acted. It's well done, frankly. I just didn't quite. I don't know that they made whatever point they were trying to make. Maybe there wasn't a point. Maybe it's just a character study. And that's how I took it, in which case I say it was pretty good. And I'll give it 3.5 Meritus.
Okay, in that case, I think we did it. Anything else, Chris?
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here, and I was thinking about a lot of things, frankly. Camden Yards, Record Revolution. But, because this is set in the 80s.
What was the other store called? The actual store that you had?
Record something. They were easily confusable if you're an idiot like I was when I was that age. But I'm just thinking back to this time. This was like 82. This film was made, and there was a lot of weird stuff going on. Like, do you remember President Reagan decided that he wanted to put satellites in space that would shoot down nuclear missiles?
Yeah,
and his political opponents were like, "Oh, you just got that idea from watching Star Wars." And Reagan's people were like, yeah, like Star Wars. That's what we're doing.
That's what we're calling it.
Yeah. And the press started calling it Star Wars. Everyone started calling it Star Wars, to the point that George Lucas sued, I don't know, the press, the government. He sued somebody. Did he think people would stop watching Star Wars? I don't know. But then the Soviets start hearing about this, and their president, Gorbachev, He has an arms summit with Reagan where he's like, look, we don't know how to build any of this Star Wars stuff. We're afraid that you can shoot down our nuclear missiles, but we can't shoot down yours. So how about this? We'll just both get rid of all the nuclear weapons, and you can forget about all that Star Wars stuff. And then Reagan's like, well, people like Star Wars, though. And Gorbachev's like, you mean the movie or the defense initiative? Well, both, I guess. And so Reagan wouldn't give up on the Star Wars thing, even if we got rid of all the nukes. He gets back to Washington, right? And the scientists come to him, and they're like, we've been looking at this. The scientists you hired to build Star Wars. They're like, we think it's going to take decades to build this thing. And then even then, we don't know if it's going to work. Like, you probably should have taken that deal that Gorbachev offered you. And the Joint Chiefs of Staffs are there, right? The people who run the head guys at the military branches. And they're like, oh, yeah, we knew all along that was never going to work. But do you see how pissed off these commies are? Isn't this great? Like, the thing is, Steve, the KGB was so worried about this Star Wars thing that they told all their spies, go out and find out whatever you can find out about this Star Wars thing. And the spies are going, we can't find anything. It's almost as if it doesn't exist. And the head guys in Moscow are going like, no, it definitely exists. Why else would George Lucas be suing these people? So this all, it gets to the point where the spies, they're having to take crazy chances to try and find anything out about Star Wars. So the chiefs of staff and the people in the military, the U.S. military, are loving this because they're catching all these spies. And then a few years later, the Soviet Union just falls apart, and they had to get rid of all their nukes anyway because I guess they couldn't afford the upkeep is what happened. I guess that's what happened there. And then Clinton becomes president in 93. And at that point, he's like, okay, I think we can finally just admit that this Star Wars thing is, it's not real any more than the actual Star Wars. And then we've never heard anything about it since. But that's some of the stuff that was going on in the 80s. I'm really going off on tangents tonight.
No, you're fine, Chris.
It's probably time to end it, though, before I have any other more revelations or embarrassing admissions. So,
well, in that case, I think we did it. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank
you, Jim Corhan. I'm Steve Reese.
Oski Wawa.
Holy Magano.
Tigers.
Edom Raw, we did it. And thanks to our viewer for recommending this film. We appreciate it.